going to make something that people have been asking me to make for months and months and months. Well, not months and months and months, but maybe like a month. And it's just kind of time consuming, but I would like to thank another influencer. She has a vegan like a cooking channel on YouTube, and the name of her channel is Plentifully Based, and I just came across her video, and she has made it pretty much the dough that I was making. We use the same exact ingredients in our dough. My dough, however, would take 2 hours. It was like a process. I would have to do this and then do that and then let it sit and then add some more flour and do this and then let it sit for another hour and a half. It was crazy. She uses the same exact ingredients, but it takes not even an hour. The sitting time for it is 30 minutes. Once you're done kneading it, you set it aside for 30 minutes, and then it's good to go. It's completely ready to go. So thank you, Plentifully Based. You've cut my pizza dough cooking time into a quarter of the time it used to take me. So one thing that I did get from her is I've experimented with so many different cheese recipes. I'm going to do a cheese video just with 3 different ways that I make cheese. This is a new one. I can say that the way that she made it is the simplest so far. It's similar in taste to another cheese recipe that I have, but that cheese recipe is better for like nachos or like mac and cheese. This is more like a mozzarella cheese, so I really love it. And once again, Plentifully Based, check out her YouTube channel. I've only watched a couple of her videos, but she hasn't steered me wrong yet. I've been very happy with what I've seen, so I'm all about supporting other people. And I like to give credit where credit's due. So if you enjoy the pizza, I'm gonna show you some spins on it that are my own. And but if you do enjoy it, that'll just give you kind of a taste of what she's capable of as well. So definitely check her out too. So we're gonna get started in a minute working on our cheese and our dough. So I've taken, this is for the cheese, I've taken the cauliflower and I've cut like the leafy stem off of it and most of the inner stem. So like leaving this little bit of stem is okay. I try not to, I have to clean the floors when I'm done. So I just kind of just break them up. And I have my water. You know what? Actually really helps your water boil. And I know it takes watching someone's like cooking channel to actually figure this trick out. Is you have to turn the flame on. Just in case you guys didn't know that. I know. I know you guys have learned something very valuable today. So I thought that my water was on the way to boiling, and now it's in the process. So we got the cauliflower. I'm gonna go ahead and make the dough while the cauliflower boils. So the water has come to a boil, and I'm gonna put the cauliflower, which is, I did 1 full head because I'm doing a lot of cheese, because I'm going to do something different. I'm going to use some of the cheese for the pizza that I'm going to make now, and then I'm going to see, and this is a learning process that we're all sharing, I'm going to see that if this specific recipe, if you can refrigerate it, and if it hardens, and if it forms like a mozzarella, like where you can like shred it. So I'll let you guys know, I'll put it in the comments. I've also incorporated 4 cloves of garlic, which I've peeled and quartered. They don't have to be chopped because they're gonna be boiled and then they're gonna be blended for the cheese. for our pizza dough, while we're waiting for our cauliflower, and plus this is gonna have to sit for 30 minutes after we get it kneaded out, I'm doing a lot of dough because, so you can cut this recipe completely in half, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna refrigerate a bunch of dough balls, pizza dough balls, so that anytime I wanna make pizza, if someone's just in the mood for pizza, I just have them ready already. So I'm going to do 6 cups of flour. You can do 3 cups. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sift all of this flour. I'm going to add a tablespoon of sea salt and sift that as well. So I'm gonna get that going. Once it's all sifted, we'll be back and see what we're gonna do next. So far right now I'm sifting 3 cups, which is half of what I'm using for the recipe. And I've already added the full tablespoon of sea salt to this. So I'm just showing you in case, who knows, you might be completely new to cooking and be like, what the hell is sifting? I don't know what that is. And then you gotta Google it or something. Like, we're not all cooks, you know. Some people might be completely new to this, or they might have been cooking forever and just never sifted anything before. So this is pretty much done. I like to bang it up against my hand. I feel that's most effective, but this was pretty full, and banging it against my hand was gonna get flour kind of everywhere. So these little pieces that aren't going through, we don't want that in there anyway, because we want the dough to be nice and smooth. So that's 3 cups so far. That's what we're going to use at first. And then we're going to add the rest of the mix in once it's settled. And then slowly add the other 3 cups. So to this is warm water, which I used the water from the Keurig, so it was very hot. So it's still steaming a little bit, but another thing that on Plentiful, oh my God, I can't remember it. I said it earlier in the video, where I got some of the ideas from. I noticed that maybe my dough, I had no problem with the way my dough was coming out. It was coming out great. I've made pizza before. I made it like alkaline based, so I made it with spelt flour, which is even kind of harder to deal with. It has a totally different texture, but it still came out great. But what I was doing was I was just using room temperature water, and she explained that that using like a hotter, not super hot, not boiling hot, but like she explained, if you're taking a warm bath, you want it to have that. So I tested the waters, and they're perfect. So this right here, like I said, you could cut it in half if you want to make less dough than I'm making. You can do 1 cup of warm water. I have done 2 cups here. So you would normally, if you're doing 1 cup of water, you would do 2 teaspoons, which would equal like 2 packets of yeast. You want to use instant yeast, active yeast, like the stuff that you use to make like bread. Not nutritional yeast. People confuse that. You're not gonna get the results you want. So to this, I'm adding 4 teaspoons of yeast. And I'm adding 2 teaspoons of sugar. This is something that I actually did not use in my dough. I've seen recipes where they call for honey. So, you know, I'm vegan, so I've used agave. So she explains how the sugar actually helps like fully activate the yeast. Like it helps it like start to do its work. So I'm just gonna give this a little stir, and this is gonna sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then it gets like foamy, frothy and stuff at the top. And this is what actually makes your dough rise. and pretty much double in size. So when you form your dough ball, it looks like it's gonna make like 2 pizzas or 1 loaf of bread or whatever it is that you're doing when you're using yeast. And then the next thing you know, you cover it for a half hour, you take the cover off of it, and you see that it's doubled in size, and you're like, wow, I can make a lot more than I planned on making. So this is just gonna get set to the side, and I'm going to work more on the dough. Actually, we have to wait for that to be done. So 10 minutes, and then we're gonna incorporate that into our flour mixture. Okay, if everybody's ready, it is time for us to make an addition to our flour or our dough. So we have the flour, the 3 cups that I sifted already, and the tablespoon of salt that I sifted everything. And this is what the yeast looks like if you did it right, if you use the right temperature of water, if you use the right yeast, and you use the right ratio of water, yeast, and sugar. So this is going to just get added to our flour mixture, and then we're going to add a half a cup of grapeseed oil, and then we're just going to be stirring this up. And it's definitely going to be too much, you know, too much water, but that's why we're going to be doing another 3 cups of flour. So rather than bore you and do all of this or have you fast forward past this, I'm just gonna do this on my own, and I'll be back. What I'm gonna do while we're missing each other, I'm going to keep on stirring this up for like another minute or 2, and then I'm going to sift another 3 cups of flour. No more salt, because I've done the entire tablespoon in the first batch of flour. So once I'm done doing that and incorporating it in here, I'll come back. Don't want to bore you guys. I've sifted the other, the remaining 3 cups of flour into the mix. And by the looks of it so far, it is the perfect amount of flour. It's not going to be too sticky. It's not going to be too floury, too dry. And then it's just the 30-minute waiting process. So I'm just going to keep stirring this and then knead it for probably about 5 minutes. So I must apologize, I got completely carried away kneading the dough and everything. I moved on to the next step without filming it, but it's no big deal. I was done kneading it. I actually had to add a quarter to a third, say about a quarter of a cup of flour, because it was still a little sticky. So I added another quarter of a cup of flour, and then I kneaded it some more, and then I formed it into a ball. I poured some oil at the bottom of the bowl, placed the ball, placed the dough over the oil in the bowl, and then I formed a ball, and then just put oil on top and rub the top of it. I'm going to now take a damp dish towel, and then I'm going to place it over here, and I'm just going to let it sit for 30 minutes. Hello, welcome back. I have made plenty of progress. Actually no, I'm just kind of got my seasonings ready during our little break while I was waiting for the cauliflower to be ready. So our dough is sitting. You want to put it in a kind of cooler, non-drafty area. If I was not using the stove right now, I would have just put it in the oven. The oven's the perfect place as long as it's not on for your dough to set. So I have the full head of cauliflower here and the 4 cloves of garlic that are nice and soft after their boil. And in here, like I said, you can cut this all in half. I have 6 tablespoons of tapioca flour or tapioca starch. Same thing, you can use either or. And this is what gives it kind of the stretchiness if you're doing like a mozzarella cheese. I have 2, oh man, what did I do for this? 2 tablespoons. So normally you would do 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast. I did 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. There's 2 teaspoons of sea salt, and then 1 teaspoon each of onion powder, garlic powder, cayenne pepper, and parsley. And we're gonna throw all of this in here. And then your plant milk. I'm using unsweetened, original. That's not gonna focus good enough for you guys. Is it? Yeah. Wholesome Pantry. There's a few that I like. I kind of get whatever's on sale, excluding a few. I have my go-tos, like 4 different milks that I do. And when I go to the supermarket, it's pretty much whichever one is on sale. So I normally just eyeball it, but since we're following a recipe so you guys can know how much to put in, I'm going to start with 2 cups just to see how smooth we get this. And if we need more, which I'm guessing if we need more, it won't be more than a cup. Maybe a half a cup to a cup. More is all we would need. And then I'm just going to blend this on high. Out, and we will need see, that's nice and creamy, but it thickens up as you cook it. We're going to transfer it to a pot. Flavor's good. I'm going to do another half a cup, because it's always easier to add some more than if you put too much in and then it's liquidy and then you have to add a whole bunch of other stuff to balance it out. So on high again for, whoops, for a few seconds. Yep, another half a cup. So for this recipe, it's going to be a total of 3 cups. Of plant milk. But like I said, I'm just doing a whole bunch of cheese because I want, sorry, I just got a phone call that I didn't want to take anyway, but it paused my video. So like I said, I'm doing more of this because I'm going to put it in the fridge and I'm going to see if it solidifies and resembles like a mozzarella cheese that you would buy in the store that I can shred and you know, use for a bunch of other stuff. So 15-20 more seconds and we're good. until I get more advanced and get different cameras and maybe even somebody that'll just film for me, I'm not gonna bring this over to the stove. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer this into a pot and I'm going to cook it on medium heat. It's going to bubble. You have to stir it constantly. For one, so it doesn't burn or stick to the bottom, and two, so that it reaches the stretchiness and the consistency that, that you desire. So I'm gonna do that for, it takes probably a good 5, maybe because I'm making so much, maybe it'll take 10 minutes, but I'm not gonna bore you with that either. I'll be back. Hey, so I would have been back, but my son decided he was gonna come in the kitchen. He was hungry and he had to cook something, so I had to wait for him to be done. So this, as you can see, the yeast, it makes it maybe not, no, it actually has doubled in size. I'm sure it has. So this is our dough. This is our pizza dough. Ooh, look at it. Oh, I love how it does that. You just punch it. It was formed and everything, and you punch it, and then it just like shrinks down. But yeah, it came out perfect. So this is enough for multiple pies. So I'm just going to flour my counter, and I'm going to use, I guess, this knife, and I'm going to cut the dough in half, and then work with this. So that's my oven saying that it's ready for me to put my pizza in, or that it's at 450, but I'm not ready to put it in yet. So this, I think, is enough to make 6 pies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll them all into balls, and I'm going to put them, I'm going to wrap them in saran wrap. Each ball I'm going to wrap in saran wrap, get a nice tight seal on it, and then put it in the fridge. So tonight I'm only making 1 pie. Last night I made 3 pies. I wanted to make sure that it came out perfect before I filmed the video, because I filmed a bunch of videos and they never made it on here because I didn't like the way that they came out. I don't want to leave anybody disappointed, so here we go. We have our dough on our floured surface. I'm just going to flip it and get some more flour on it, because yesterday I like a really thin crust. So if you just want to do this, I'm going to bring you guys down here so you can see what I'm doing actually. So I like a nice thin crust. So what I did yesterday was I kind of just did this. I kind of just, you know, pressed it, formed it, I stretched it out by hand, and I loved the pizza. The pizza came out really delicious. Everyone in my house raved about it. They were like, we really feel like we're eating like legit, like real, like 100%, not even vegan or anything pizza, but the crust to me was a little thicker than I like. So I did not roll it out yesterday. I will be rolling it out today, because I like a nice crispy thin crust. Nice thin crust.
And by harboring a minor, you are technically committing statutory rape. Therefore, according to the terms of the trust,
so this is nice and thin. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick.
Until you cease and desist in engaging in any
And it's
activity
still
which is not in the best
staying
interest of
together
the
like very nicely. It's not falling apart. I don't see any holes or tears or anything in it. I would love to have a cutter that is the exact shape, and I'm pretty sure I'll figure something out because I'm pretty resourceful. I like to think I'm pretty resourceful. But what I do is, instead of just throwing it in the oven, what I do is I put it in a cast iron skillet for a few minutes first, and then I transfer that skillet to the oven. So I'm gonna get this cut as closely to the size of the cast iron skillet, and then I'm gonna transfer it over. Cast iron skillet is heating up right now. I have found the perfect plate, which I placed in my cast iron skillet, and it fits perfectly. I mean, the circumference of both are right on the money. They're exactly the same. So that made my life so much easier. Well, maybe not my whole life, but it made this part easier. So then I didn't even have to roll out this much. I can use this for another bowl. Just going to form it into a ball though. So we can have it setting properly. So then I'm actually going to move the camera over to the stove because I need you guys to see these parts. So all I did while I was off camera is I sprinkled some cornmeal, which helps it not stick to the pan, and it helps it achieve a nice crisp. So I sprinkled that on the pizza crust, or the dough, and then I flipped it over. So you want the cornmeal side down on the pan. This is some sauce that I have reserved from the pizza that I made yesterday. So just gonna throw some of this sauce. Don't need a lot of sauce. Too much sauce for one weighs the pie down, and I actually didn't measure. I mean, the plate worked out fine. Somehow I feel like after I cut the dough into the right size, I honestly feel like it shrank a little bit. So I don't know, maybe that's a thing that I don't know about once you cut the dough. But and then we have our cheese that we made, and I like a lot of cheese on my pizza, so I'm putting probably about 4 or 5 big dollops on here. So this pan is on medium heat, and we're going to leave it until it forms like a nice little crisp at the bottom, and then we just transfer it to the oven that is preheated at 450, and just waiting for us to throw some pizza up in there. So yeah, this is like a nice amount of cheese on the pie. You can use more, you can use less, you can add whatever toppings you want to it. I just wanted to show you the basics of how to make the pie itself. So I'm going to do 5 full dollops. I love cheese. A lot of people, when they turn vegan, say that the cheese is their biggest factor, like the thing that they miss the most. I don't really hear too many people. Well, I mean, I hear more people say that cheese was the hardest part of the transition. I don't hear as many people say that it's the meat. That's the big thing, especially if you're a vegetarian and you're turning vegan. I think it makes the transition a little easier. Or maybe it makes it harder because, you know, vegetarians a lot of the time tend to use a lot of cheese and stuff to make up for the fact that they're not using meat. So this is going to cook for, it's barely getting a crisp, so I'm gonna let it cook for another 2 minutes on here. I'm going to transfer it to the oven on 450 for about 6 minutes, and it should be completely ready to go. And then you'll see the end result. So what I've decided to do with this pie is, instead of measuring it and using the pizza cutter to cut it, like using the plate to measure it, I rolled it out a little bit larger, and it's a little big for the pan, but not too much bigger. So then all I'm doing is just going around it with my pizza cutter, because that last pie I made was more of like a personal pan pie, and that'll get demolished by one person in this house, like immediately. So just slight alterations, you know, that's the beautiful thing about doing this. You know, if something doesn't work 100% for you, you just alter it until it works. So then we're gonna do the same thing that we did with the other pie. And we're just going to put our sauce on it. And then our cheese. And then we're going to let this cook on the stovetop on me. Oh no, I was supposed to turn it on. That's the second time I did that today. The second time I did that in this video. I'm slipping. So it's okay though. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish putting the sauce and the cheese on here. It's gonna cook on the stovetop until it crisps up a little bit at the bottom, which should be about 6 minutes. And then we're gonna transfer it to our oven that is on 450 for an additional 6 minutes, and it will be done. And then we can just enjoy our pizza. So here we have our first pie that, like I said, oh whoops, my bad. So here we have our first pie right here that, like I said, came out a little more like a personal pan pie. Personal pie, or whatever. You know what the hell I mean. So then we have the second one, which I like the size of it better. I like the overall look of it better. And then I'm just going to slice it. And then taste it while I have you here with me. So I got it sliced, and I'm absolutely loving the way this is looking. See, you want to achieve like a little stretch, like it's not super stretchy, but you see how it's like oozing down into the next slice, and I'm loving that. So I'm going to take one of these slices and let it cool down a teeny tiny bit and give it a try, because right now it's gonna do the same thing that it did yesterday, which is burn the roof of my mouth, because it was so good I couldn't stop eating it despite how hot it was. So drum roll time. especially since people have been asking me to make the pizza for so long now. I took a bite of the smaller pie, the first one that I made, and I love it. And I like the way this one came out even more. So I'm sure I'm gonna love it 10 times more. So it's cooled off so I don't burn the roof of my mouth, but there's our pizza, a little vegan pizza. Super good. I'm glad I finally mastered it. And my battery is dying. My phone is dying, rather. But this is very good, guys. It's delicious. I love it. I want you guys to make this. And I want you guys to love it. And I want you guys to tell me how much you love it. These pies are about to be gone tonight. I made 3 pies yesterday. And by the time I packed it up and put it away, there was like half a pie left. And people just kept eating it. So, and then I made a thinner crust today because that's what I like. So I like the results that I achieved even more today than I did yesterday. So that's what life is about. Whether you're cooking or whatever it is you're doing in life, if you did better today than you did yesterday, and you keep doing that every single day, you will succeed. So thank you guys for your support. And please like, share, comment, and turn your notifications on. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go eat this because it's yummy. Thank you guys.